Our job from the outset was to find her, which is what response cops do ordinarily. This wasn't any ordinary case.
Carers of a woman are to stand trial for murder. Margaret Fleming was reported missing in 2016, but was last seen in 1999. Her body has never been found.
My first impressions were of something bad having happened to Margaret, but something which would be very difficult to prove.
Mr. Kearney said something along the lines of, she's gone out the back door.
Margaret Fleming had just gone out the back door.
I personally felt that she wasn't there at the time.
Was there any effort made to recover the CCTV footage from the Inverkip area in the period immediately after the police attended?
No.
This case is extraordinary. The Crown cannot say there is direct evidence that Margaret is dead. She could still be alive.
Margaret was the type of person who was very, very easy to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Far too kind, gentle and loving.
It's just unbelievable that it took so long for it to be noticed. I mean, missing for 19 years and everybody was like, oh my God.
Most people see Eddie in the wheelchair and they don't realise what Eddie used to be like. He was one of these guys who, once he sets his mind to something, can do things that you really would think, wow. Avril was always just in the background.
It seems to me that you were suspicious about Avril Jones.
There was a suspicion, but she was also the closest female friend I had. There's a big part of my head doesn't want to say that there could have been a murder involved. Maybe something happened and they just had to cover it up.
Did you locate any items which might be of interest whilst you were carrying out the search?
Yes.
What sort of thing or things?
Bone fragment, predominantly.
Now, I've read the report and absolutely nothing had been recovered which could be identified as human bone. None of this evidence is any good at all. Other juries get eyewitnesses. Other juries get DNA or blood on an accused jumper. You're getting this rubbish.
I wanted to know about Margaret.
Could you actually describe her to me? What was she like?
She was short, fat, dirty.
So if she was watching this right now, what would you say to her?
I get more nervous now than I did as a young prosecutor. There is no such case as one in which a jury could not return a verdict of acquittal, particularly having regard to the rightly very high standard of proof beyond reasonable doubt. And I would say that the case against Kearney and Jones, the matter is so finely balanced, it could go either way. Murder is the most serious crime we deal with, and the pressure of building the case, knowing that omitting one small detail might be fatal, is something which most people could not understand.
Court.
Margaret Fleming seems to have disappeared off several radars simultaneously. I want to try to paint a picture of Margaret as someone who would not be able to look after herself. So the best we can do is try through the witnesses to convey that story to the jury.
Crown witness number 14, my lord, Jean McSherry.
As you'll know, Ms McSherry, this trial revolves around Margaret Fleming. And I think that you had a relationship with Margaret's father, Derek, at some point in your life. Is that correct?
That's correct.
As far as you were concerned, was the relationship going to be long-term?
Yes.
What were your plans?
We were going to get married.
What were your plans in relation to Margaret?
Well, I was going to be sort of like a stepmother to her. She used to burst through the door and she'd come up and give me a big cuddle. And I says, we're going to go into town. So we used to go into town and I said, right, I'm going to spoil you. I know I'll get into trouble after your dad, but don't worry about it. We'll get you something nice to wear. You put your makeup on. I taught her how to do her makeup. She couldn't quite get it quite right. And she'd give a giggle. It was brilliant. I know she was a bit slow, but you could see the look that she had in her. It was in her eyes, it was in her face when she was talking to you. She was a smashing kid.
And I'm sorry if this is distressing, but was there a time at which Derek's health became seriously poor?
Yes, later on.
And what was the diagnosis? What was
cancer?
He had cancer. And did you gain an understanding as to whether that was going to be something survivable long-term or not?
Well, he knew he wasn't going to live when he got rushed into hospital.
And had he made any plans of which you were aware based on the fact that he had had this diagnosis?
He spoke to me about Eddie and Avril. This is before we actually got really serious with each other. If anything happened to him, it was Eddie and Avril that was going to look after young Margaret.
Was Derek close to either Mr. Kearney or Miss Jones, would you say?
Yes, both of them, as far as I know, with Derek.
And how did you feel about Margaret being looked after by Avril Jones and Edward Kearney?
I didn't think it was right.
Why?
Just the gut feeling. Avril, she was all right, but Eddie, no. When Eddie and Avril had her, I got to help Margaret didn't want to speak to me or see me. And that cut me up. Really did. Destroyed me. I should have went to social workers to get them to investigate Eddie and Avril. I beat myself up for that. I could have done something, and I never.
Around 20 years ago, Margaret Fleming, who had learning difficulties, moved here to live with Eddie Kearney and Avril Jones.
Police say that apart from her two carers, the last independent sighting of Margaret Fleming was in December 1999.
But 17 years later, her benefits were still being paid to Avril Jones, which over the years came to more than £180,000.
Greed for money lay behind this crime. The one way of guaranteeing the flow of income of a not insignificant sum of cash on a regular basis was to have her disposed of without the authorities knowing. That's what we say happened. At page 12, is that a letter from Job Centre Plus addressed to you?
It is.
Now, this letter dated the 28th of March 2006. That's at a time when Miss Fleming would have been 25 years of age. In short, what's that telling you, please?
An application for benefit has been made and the patient is regarded as being unfit for work. The benefits system will no longer require regular certificates because they accept that you are permanently incapacitated.
Would that necessarily have triggered any response at that time?
Not really. As you can imagine, we get a great many of these letters. In those days, we had about 4,500 patients. You really can't keep track of them all and what they're doing. It's not at all unusual for patients, especially young patients, not to come and see us for years on end. So it wouldn't cause any red flags.
It may be thought that had there not been a change in the benefit system, there might have been nothing to prompt anyone's interest in Margaret. The DWP raised concerns because if she truly was behaving in the way that Avril Jones was claiming in this application form, she was at great risk. I regret I'm simply going to have to read this, unpleasant though some of it is. Margaret needs constant care. She self-harms and needs daily checks to see her body has no new wounds. She point-blank refuses to go to a doctor as this will lead to an asylum. Margaret does not have a proper understanding of hygiene. Period time is a nightmare. She needs told when to change because I can smell her. She cannot be trusted with food since it was discovered she was caught eating out the dog's bowl of scraps. Margaret also has made jam sandwiches whilst on her period, wiping, quotes, mess, close quotes, onto bread, exclamation mark. She is never alone for her own and others' safety. If she got lost around lots of people, she'd panic. If anyone were to offer to help her, she'd go with them. In that sense, she does not see the danger and never will.
So what was it, 6 months in total we were here?
6 months, yeah. Took us to search and empty the house.
And it's quite a remote location, quite secluded.
Yes. Once you're off the main road, nobody can really see.
As the inquiry went on and you spoke to people, what we were being told about Avril and Eddie were, they were a very sociable couple. There was always people coming to visit. The amount of dinner parties that we're having here, you know, they were well liked. And then it was all around about that time, end of December '99, around about the last confirmed sighting of Margaret. That all sort of changed. The dinner party stopped. People stopped coming round to the house, they stopped inviting them in. They take themselves away for the world, in effect.
Yeah.
It just really makes you wonder, you know, what really did go on in here.
Can you ever remember occasions where you had to punish Margaret Fleming for anything at all?
No, I can never.
What about Avril? Punishing?
No, never.
Never.
Not only is she described as being locked in the room, Avril, but she's described as being treated like a slave in your house. Can you explain that?
I haven't done these things.
Was it ill treatment? Was it neglect? When we speak to people who were in Eddie and Avril's company, their family, their friends, round about her turning 16, it's dramatic weight loss. It's the chopping of her hair getting cut really short. There was times where she was observed to have tape tightly wound round her arms, where people had to intervene because it was cutting off the circulation of her blood to her hands.
Did you ever personally apply duct tape to Margaret Fleming at any time?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Right. We have a witness who says that Margaret Fleming was being punished for self-harming and you and Avril were putting guttering around her arms with carpet inside it. Does that sound something you've got any knowledge of?
Ludicrous.
Guttering Avril on her arms.
That is rubbish. I couldn't do that.
Well, if it's rubbish, you need to tell us it's rubbish, Avril.
I wouldn't know how to.
All around this time, she'd lost weight.
You starving her? You depriving her of her food?
For God's sake, no.
I can't stress to you enough you're in here for murder. Murder.
I get that.
You don't seem bothered. You really don't seem bothered about this wee lassie. What have you got to say about that?
A whole lot, but I daren't say it.
I don't think there was any care or love towards Margaret for
No.
Eddie and Avril at all. That's my honest opinion. I think she was seen as an opportunity to get money.
If you had one caring bone left in your body, Avril, you would tell me right now what's happened to her.
I do care.
Right, well, if you cared, you'd tell me. Did you kill her?
No.
Did Eddie kill her?
No.
Is she alive?
Yes.
Well, where is she then?
No comment.
Did you kill Margaret Fleming?
What are you asking for that for?
I'm asking you.
Well, I've already told you she was not dead.
Is she hurt herself? Is she died?
No.
Out with your control and you've had to get rid of her body?
No, she's not dead.
Where is she?
I don't know.
So she's not dead?
No, she's not dead.
She's not dead. But you're not going to tell me where she is?
Margaret's life, as we know it, ended the day your people raided our house.
Okay.
Her life ended that day, the life as she knew it.
Okay. Can I just remind you, one day this interview may be getting played in the highest court in the land, all right? And I have to say, you're not very helpful, that's the first thing, and you sound ridiculous.
Court.
Now, Advocate Deputy.
Yes, thank you, my Lord. Witness 122, Detective Sergeant Karen Boyd, please. It's different from the vast majority of murder cases in respect that no body has ever been found. It makes it challenging, particularly whereas in this case, the position of the accused is that Margaret is still alive. As at October, November 2016, and for a period thereafter, did you become involved in Operation Hereford, the investigation to the alleged murder of Margaret Fleming?
Yes, sir, I did. Initially, I was part of the general inquiry team, and then I took on proof of life inquiries.
Tell us what that means, please.
You are trying to find out if there's any trace of a person alive. There are a number of organisations or agencies that you would expect someone who was alive and existing within the UK to either require the services of or to be registered with, just through their going about their daily life. Margaret Fleming has not accessed the services of any NHS GP, hospital, dental services or blood transfusion services. She has not applied to renew her UK passport. She is not recorded on any social work services system in the UK. She has not contacted any women's aid organisations or other support services for assistance. Most people these days own a mobile telephone. However, there was no information that Margaret had owned a mobile telephone.
Did you, as the coordinator of the team investigating, find any evidence of her being alive at all?
None.
Thank you very much.
Did you become aware of how many missing people are reported every year?
I couldn't tell you a figure, no.
It would appear that there might be as many as 180,000 a year. You said that there was no trace of Margaret Fleming having a mobile telephone. Did you mean that there was no Margaret Fleming registered with the service providers? I mean, if somebody bought a phone in Tesco's and bought a top-up card, I don't suppose necessarily there would be any record of that person having a mobile phone. Is that correct?
I couldn't speak 100%, but I think you're correct, yes.
Could be right, okay. So far as access to medical treatment is concerned, if she had obtained some form of emergency treatment under a different name, then I suppose it may not have shown up on the medical records because they would be searching for Margaret Fleming. Is that correct?
Possibly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. The problem in this case seemed to me that if you didn't want to be found, then the first thing you would do is change your identity. Now, I'm not suggesting there's anything else the police could have done, but when you're dealing with it as evidence, it's possible that she could turn up next week or next month. And if that's a possibility, how can you say that it's been proved beyond reasonable doubt that she's dead?
We've just entered the village of Inverkip. Such a tranquil place. When anything happens, it's such big news. We're approaching Seacroft. And this green hoarding that's up now, the fire was visible through that gap right into the garden. And the flames would be, well above the 6 feet. I mean, they'd be at least twice that.
The bonfire spoken to by the witnesses years after we say Margaret was murdered, but the burning of animal tissue may contribute to the jury concluding that there was indeed some destruction of a body or of evidence.
Court.
The decision is mine whether to lead this evidence or not. I consider that there's a risk that it will be viewed as a red herring, or perhaps worse, as the prosecutor clutching at straws. It was the scale of the fire which was one of the things that drew your attention?
Yes, my wife was with me in the car. I turned to her and I said, please forgive me, I don't mean to be facetious. I said, I wonder who's cremating who. And then for my wife's benefit, I said, oh, perhaps it's a deer or an animal. And I didn't, and I still don't believe it was an animal.
Why not?
Because of my experiences with burned human tissue.
You gave a statement to the police. You mentioned burning animal flesh, but not human. What would the reason for that be?
It was too incredible to be possible. Those kind of things just don't happen.
May I take it from what you say, sir, that during your period of service as a firefighter, you have smelled burning human tissue?
Yes. It's distinctive, and it's indelibly engraved. It's not something you'd forget easily.
This was completely out of the blue. Burning human flesh. It would be fair to say that that was more than a slight change in the nature of his evidence.
Mr. Neeson, can you think of any legitimate reason for a citizen to be burning human tissue in a bonfire in their back garden?
No lawful reason, no.
No lawful reason. So we know you were a fireman, you appear like a respectable citizen, and the simple question really is this. If you thought at the time when you smelt that aroma that it was human flesh, why didn't you mention it to somebody before 2017?
As I stated, I don't think I could believe it to be true.
Thank you.
Almost every case throws up something which you don't expect. How you deal with it, I suppose, counts for a lot.
Mr. Neeson, you were withholding information from the police, if you're correct today. Why would you do such a thing?
Not deliberately. We live in a small community. There were so many stories, one could hardly separate anything. It's like reading a newspaper. What's fact and what's fiction?
Have you followed the press reporting of this case?
Pretty much, yes.
You have?
Yes.
So now you know, perhaps, how important your evidence might be?
Might well be, yes.
So why is it then that you have changed your evidence from your statement to the police to your evidence to the court today? Tell us why your evidence is so hugely different.
I have no explanation.
It did come as a surprise that the Crown called the witness, because really there was ultimately no evidence of the disposal of any human remains. This is not a good Crown case.
I'm not sure that this case has gone as swiftly or smoothly as I would like it to have done. So I've spent some time preparing the last chapters of evidence in the case. I hope all of this evidence will build up to a picture of just how unlikely, to the point of impossible, the accused's position is.
Nobody else in the whole world has seen Margaret Fleming, to our knowledge, since the 17th of December, 1999.
Nobody in the world. That's some sweeping statement.
Well, I'm telling you. We can't find empty.
Talking shite.
So I know, your position is you've seen her since then. Is it the case that she comes back and lives with you? Is that what happened?
Aye.
She comes back. For how long?
A month here and there.
A month here and there, okay.
You want us to believe that Margaret's still alive out there? You know she's not alive.
Honest to God, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't. Margaret is out there. He knows where she is. I don't.
It's important that you keep an open mind. As she ran away, is she still in touch with him?
Okay, I want to speak to you now about the time that Margaret allegedly ran off to London. She had some sort of fascination with the Millennium Dome. She went to see it. Did you go to London to look for her?
We did
That was shortly after our last independent sighting, 17th of December 99, and it's that point that they tell us that they find Margaret has ran off. She wanted to go and see the Millennium Dome. We put a lot of investigation into that, and we find these letters apparently written from Margaret.
Now, have a good day, mate.
Yes, thank you, my lord. Witness 26, Jacqueline Cahill, please, my lord. Now, over the years in teaching, no doubt a great many pupils will pass through your hands or before your eyes. Were you able to remember any details about Margaret Fleming?
Yes.
Was she there because of literacy or behavioural difficulties?
Literacy difficulties. She struggled to put pen to paper. She struggled to write at length. She probably read around about the level of an 8-year-old. We're in Marloch Avenue at the moment, and this is where the high school, the old high school, was just round here. So somewhere around here, presumably, Margaret would have lived. Teachers, we do remember our children. We do remember, I'm going to say the Scottish, we do remember the ways we taught. The police visited me August 2017, I think it was, and asked me a number of questions about letters that were alleged to have been written by Margaret. When I first heard about it, I was a bit surprised that it was actually, my Margaret Fleming.
I think it's probably best if I do read a bit to set the context. Here I am and writing to you and hoping you are not awful annoyed to me and can forgive me for causing troubles and also worries. I was always still injuring and damaging to myself and was even making Eddie love me not as much and making Avril cry and be sad. I know that I was really, really bad and wicked and I would not be allowed to stay in our house. We'll not go on to the next page yet. Let's look at some of the things that are wrong with it. There's a lot of spelling errors, would that be correct?
There's a lot of rather strange spelling errors because a number of very difficult words are actually spelt correctly.
Would you want to give us examples of that,
Naughter.
please?
We've got causing, which is a word that youngsters with literacy difficulties would struggle with. Margaret's ability level would perhaps be 100 words, and even that would be with a certain amount of support. She was not a particularly fanciful girl. She would have written straight facts. It's not a letter that Margaret would be capable of writing.
Now, Mrs. Cahill, there will be further questions for you, I'm sure, but thank you very much indeed for your assistance.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Ross.
When you were asked by the police to look at the letters, it wasn't a comparison between actual work which Margaret did. It was based on your recollection of work that Margaret might have done. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And it wouldn't be possible 21 years after the event for you to know how Margaret spelled a particular word if she was asked to spell it. Would that be fair?
No. I'm going to disagree with you and say that I do remember Margaret's literacy, I do remember Margaret's written work, and I do know the kind of errors that Margaret would have made. So no, I have every confidence in saying that my opinion of those letters is based on knowledge.
Well, nobody's doubting your level of confidence. But what I'm asking you is this. Do you accept that in general terms it's possible for somebody's reading and writing skills to improve through education and training?
Of course.
Okay.
Mr. Duguid.
There are not just one, but two possibilities here, aren't there? First of all, that she is individually the author of those typewritten letters herself, or else there is another person who is scribing those letters on her behalf.
They would have to be an extremely proficient typist. The evidence from the typos in it is that they clearly aren't a proficient typist. The third option is that Margaret had no involvement in the letters at all.
How do you know that the person whom she was asking to write the letter, perhaps, had not made a suggestion to her and she said, yes, say that?
That's speculation. I couldn't possibly comment on that.
But that's exactly what you've done. You are just guessing.
I'm not going to comment on that because I know what I think, and I know that those letters were not written by Margaret. I do not believe for a minute those letters were scribed, and I'm afraid I can't comment beyond that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. These two people lie and lie and lie, and then when they get into bother, lie a little bit more. The real focus of the case should be that a wee girl was let down by social services enormously. Somebody at some point should have been looking to find out, well, if she needs carers, how's that going? I do not believe for a minute that Margaret made it into adulthood. I believe that Margaret died aged around 19, as the prosecution case suggests.
The evidence of her English teacher was to show that Margaret was not capable of producing even basic letters. The suggestion the Crown will be putting forward is that those letters from London were manufactured. Were you specifically looking for the letters?
We were carrying out a general search in relation to that, but we had been informed previously by Mr Kearney that these letters existed within the house.
Okay. And I'll just read through. So it's, Dear Eddie and Avril, well, I have been and saw it, and you have made a big mistake by not going to see it, because I was scratching and picking, and it was really wonderful. And I am knowing all about London and the Dome. I am still talking proper and behaving good and careful not to do any wobblies, as I, a woman, and grew up. I still really, really love you. You are my best friends ever. And it's signed Mags with kisses and hugs.
Yes.
This bearing to be from the Regent Palace Hotel, London, and bearing to be dated 13/1/2000.
That's correct.
For the record, some documentation in relation to the Regent Palace Hotel was found in a search.
That's correct, yes.
Was this essentially a final sweep?
Yes,
We'll just have that on the imager, please, Mason, if we can. We see the Regent Palace Hotel, which claims to be perfect for Piccadilly. Room accommodation, 11 Jan 00. Sales invoice, Jones.
We put a lot of focus into that, and we could identify that Eddie and Avril did go to London and they stayed in the Regent Palace Hotel in London. That would put Margaret and Eddie and Avril staying in the Regent Palace Hotel at the same time.
When you saw the invoice for the Regent Palace Hotel in Piccadilly, did you connect that hotel with the letters?
Yes, so having knowledge of the letters and them being addressed and dated the 13th of January 2000, I knew that was significant.
To me, it was more of a kind of a cover story, that they went to London to develop this cover story, should they ever be questioned at a later date.
Thank you very much indeed. Margaret was not responsible for writing these letters. The fact that Kearney and Jones were in London at that time, at that hotel, that's their undoing.
Am I right in thinking that's the final witness you choose to leave?
It is, Mother, yes.
Avril Jones elects not to give evidence or call any evidence.
Thank you. Well, that's entirely her right. There's no obligation on an accused person to give evidence in this case, in any case, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Mr Ross?
Well, I think it's likely that Mr Kearney will give evidence, my lord.
Very well. We shall adjourn the case until Tuesday then. Thank you very much.
Court.
Thank you.
The evidence of an accused person is, more often than not, the high point of the trial. It would be realistic to expect that Mr Kearney will have a lot to say for himself. I'm hopeful that I'm not tempting fate by saying I ought to be able to deal with anything Mr Kearney is likely to throw at me. There's only one way to find out.
Just repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That I will tell the truth.
That I will tell the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the
Fine.
truth.
Feel free just to sit down.
Have you ever harmed Margaret, Mr Kearney?
No, I certainly have not. I'm incapable of harming a kid or a lady. It's just, I can't do that.
We've heard some evidence in the case that Margaret, she was perhaps scratching herself or something like that. Can you tell me about that, Mr Kearney?
She picked pieces out of her arms.
Okay.
And she pulled her hair out in tufts.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do to try to help Margaret stop doing that?
We tried, with her consent, cardboard tubes that was from the centre of posters.
Okay.
And put a bit of, sometimes it was duct tape, sometimes it was elastoplast, whatever was there.
Let me just stop you there. What were Margaret's feelings in relation to that procedure?
Well, when she was going to her bed, she walked in and put her arms out.
Okay. Now, obviously, we know that you went to London in January 2000, and we know that the police came to the house on the 28th of October 2016. So, on how many occasions do you say that you saw Margaret?
Over the years. Dozens of times.
But there's been no contact between you and Margaret at all since October of 2017,
no,
is that
not
correct?
since then. I've no idea how to find her.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, have a deputy.
Mr. Kearney, good afternoon. If we could have production 249, Macer. It's part of the interview where the detective sergeant says to you, have you ever put cardboard tubes on the body or the person of Margaret Fleming? And you say no. But you've just been telling us that you did.
I'm very clever.
Well, not really.
Yes, you obviously think you are when you keep on about it.
Mr. Kenny, it really won't do us any good, either of us, if we're going to be silly about this.
I can't sit here and let you put words into my mouth.
That's
I know
fair enough,
I know my life depends on me, on this being settled in some way that is acceptable. There is nothing sinister in anything we've done. She's a wee mixed up girl that we improved.
Okay. You went to London.
Yes.
Because Margaret had gone away and you thought the most likely place she would have gone was to the Dome.
Yes.
Did you think to contact the police in London?
We wanted to find her. The police don't want to find her.
Why don't the police want to find her?
So they can put me inside for life.
Do you think you're being fitted up?
Without a shadow of doubt.
The 13th of January, which was your last day in London, happens to be the date on which two letters, bearing to have been typed and sent from the Regent's Palace Hotel, they were postmarked in west of London on the 13th of January 2000.
How many million people is there in the west of London?
Do you know, Mr. Kearney, you're actually way ahead of me there. What are the chances? What are the chances that on the day you were there, Margaret was at the Regent Palace Hotel typing a letter to send from the West End of London? What are the chances with all of those millions of people?
Right. What are the chances of anything you have said to be factual? What are the chances? Nothing.
Would you just answer the
Can
question?
it be easy if you just answer the questions?
My Lord, I've got the deepest respect for what you're telling me.
Well, I'm telling you to answer the questions.
This
Do you get
man's
that,
nonsense.
Mr. Kearney? Just please answer the questions.
What more can happen to me than this clown telling lies?
Look, I'm not having you call the advocate deputy a clown. That's quite improper. Now, please just answer the questions.
How long was it before she came back from that London jaunt?
I don't remember.
How often did she come back thereafter for the next 16 years?
Dozens of times.
So the whole notion that she's not been seen since the tail end of 1999 is just rubbish, is it?
It is.
And she came back to get money. Is that
And
right?
got it.
You were by then seeing it as your money, Mr. Kearney, weren't you? You and Avril were just helping yourselves.
I've lived a long time and I've never heard such nonsense in my life.
There's more to come.
Supposition. Complete supposition. You've got no idea what you're talking about. Was this a vast sum of money that I decided to kill Margaret for?
Do you know that's the pathetic thing about it, Mr. Kearney? It's another good question.
Ach, away and pile your head.
Margaret Fleming was dead before Christmas Day 1999, wasn't she?
Margaret Fleming is still alive.
And you killed
And
her.
it's very, very vicious of you to suggest it.
You killed her, Mr. Kearney. And you spent the years since then telling lie after lie, cashing her benefits, living off Margaret Fleming, and the reason you lied is because you had to cover up the most dreadful crime of murder. Isn't that the case?
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I can't begin to satisfy a fertile mind like yours. I've got nothing to say. It's pointless. It doesn't matter what I say, you're going to twist it.
So you think it's pointless me asking you any more questions?
I think it's pointless me answering any more questions. I don't know what to say to you.
That's 4 minutes past 4, and we're in agreement again, Mr. Kearney. Thank you very much. I've been called some unpleasant things. A clown's probably the least of my worries. I've heard worse. Away in Ballyarhead is a traditional Scottish insult, so I was quite happy to have that thrown in my direction. He had set himself an agenda as to how to deal with questions simply by not answering them properly, and he maintained that. He's not a stupid man, and I thought it best just to stop where we stopped. I think it would be very easy for jurors in this case to reach a view that Edward Kearney and Avril Jones have not been truthful. That clearly wouldn't be enough to justify their returning a verdict of guilty of murder. So I have to persuade them on the basis of the evidence, pointing very firmly in that direction. And I say that it does. But I'm acutely conscious that this is a very difficult task for the jurors. It's not an easy jury speech to make.
Court.
Good morning. I seek to persuade you, ladies and gentlemen, based solely on the evidence you have heard, that Edward Kearney and Avril Jones bear joint responsibility for the murder of Margaret Fleming, a young girl with significant difficulties who had joined their household following the death of her father. Now, if the truth of the matter is that Margaret Fleming is alive and well, and coming back and forth to Scotland, as Mr. Kearney claims, it would be surprising if she were unaware that police were looking for her. It would be surprising if she were unaware that ultimately Mr. Kearney and Miss Jones ended up being charged with her murder. And it would be surprising if, in all of those circumstances, she didn't think to get on the phone to someone. Silence. As silent as the grave.
Ladies and gentlemen, in To Kill a Mockingbird and 12 Angry Men, the heroes were the characters played by Henry Fonda and Gregory Peck, people who turned their backs on prejudice and tried to argue it down. Now, some of you might not like Edward Kearney, but ladies and gentlemen, it would not be just to convict him because you don't like him. As judges, you have to do very much better than that.
There are two things which you need to be satisfied of Avril Jones. You have to be satisfied that as a murderer, she had a wicked intention to kill, or else she had committed an act which displayed wicked recklessness. And which particular act are you thinking of in the evidence tells you that?
The London trip is the foundation of the Crown case. I invite you to accept the evidence of the teachers about Margaret's abilities, to conclude that she was not the author of those letters, and to ask then who was and why. Their lies tell you not only that they're liars, they tell you why they lied. To cover up a death for the obvious reason that they caused it.
They lied to cover up a death because they caused it. Now, that's some jump. That's sheer guesswork and speculation. That's for the pub. That's not for the jury room.
Sheer greed and the arrogance which arises when you've been getting away with a crime for years. Those are the things which brought the police to the door of Seacroft. Well, thank goodness for greed. arrogance and lies.
When you go into the jury room, if somebody says they stole Margaret's money so they deserve all they get, be heroic. Stand up. Your judges, be great judges. Because after all, ladies and gentlemen, it's not every Thursday in Glasgow that you get to be Gregory Peck.
There is no body. There is no murder weapon. There is no crime scene. There is no explanation as to how she died. There's no evidence at whose hand she died. I would reckon that you don't need much convincing that there was a benefit fraud going on. But you're now being asked to decide that the lies in themselves you can attribute to a violent act which was murderous. Ladies and gentlemen, my submission to you is you are a long way from coming to that conclusion.
You've heard all the evidence in this case. Proof beyond reasonable doubt is the standard which the crowd must reach. If you have such a doubt, your duty will be to give the benefit of it to the accused and acquit. Of course, there are two accused, and I have to tell you that you must consider the case of each accused separately. So I'm going to ask you now, please, to retire and consider your verdict. Thank you.
Said it was going to rain today. Didn't it look it with the clouds? Oh, I know she's dead. I think she's either in the Grun or else she's at the bottom of the sea. He's definitely done her in. I hope the jury comes to the right decision, because I know they done it. I'd be happy that he got his upcomings and her really a day. I'll be devastated if she doesn't, honest to God. I'll really devastated. Sorry.
Court.
I am anxious that all of the work that's been put into this prosecution, and it may be argued all of the work that was done as part of this extraordinary police investigation, has come to nothing. I feel a great deal of responsibility. No one's seen or heard of Margaret for so many years. As the victim of murder, she deserves the best job being done for her.
Ladies and gentlemen, would your spokesperson please stand? Have you reached a verdict?
Yes, we have.
What is your verdict in respect of the accused Edward Kearney?
Guilty.
Is that verdict unanimous or by a majority?
By a majority.
What is your verdict in respect of the accused Avril Jones?
Guilty.
Is that verdict unanimous or by a majority?
Majority.
Thank you. Please take a seat while I record the verdict.
Mr. Kearney, Ms. Jones, you have been convicted of the murder of Margaret Fleming. The only sentence which the court can impose is one of life imprisonment. If I can address you directly, everybody, thank you very much indeed for the way this case has been conducted. It's been a thank you.
Court.
Thank you.
Margaret Fleming never really had a voice in her life, did she?
Sometimes you felt we were the only ones that cared for her,
Yeah.
and you just wanted to have that kind of closure.
That's right. And that's the only thing for me that's left unfinished. We would have liked to have got Margaret back, and we would like to know exactly what happened to her. Unfortunately, so far, we don't have the answers.
No.
Hopefully that somebody will maybe have an ounce of goodness and tell us exactly what happened and where she is.